Hare Krishna, welcome to the question and answer session on chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita. So let us begin with the first question by Lalita Ganeshji. Hare Krishna Prabhu, my question regarding Viratroopa. During Viratroopa conversation between Arjuna and the Lord, Sanjaya was also communicating whatever was going on to Dhritarashtra. By this we come to know that Dhritarashtra also knows regarding the knowledge given and Viratroopa of Supreme Lord and Arjuna. So then why he didn't realize that he and his sons were committing big sin and fighting against the Supreme Lord and the great devotees, and he could have surrendered under the lotus feet of Krishna. The next question by Dr. Shastri is also similar. Sanjaya is explaining the whole sequence of events to Dhritarashtra with Divya dristi, like our remote sensing technology. Does this also mean that he too could see Krishna's Vishwaroopa while sitting with Dhritarashtra at Hastinapura palace? Please clarify. So the answer is Lalita Ganeshji's question that when Sanjaya explained about the Vishwaroopa, he also explained this to Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra heard all this and was also wonderstruck with the revelation of Krishna's universal form. But yet Dhritarashtra, as it is explained in the Mahabharata many times, he was blind not only physically but he was also blind in the spiritual sense of the term, and therefore although not only now here in the Bhagavad Gita, which comes in the Bhishma Parva, even earlier in the previous Parva known as the Udyoga Parva, we find that the Supreme Lord Krishna had revealed the universal form, the Viratrupam, not the complete one as he showed to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. You can say like a mini Vishwaroopa, Viratrupam was also shown to Dhritarashtra, not only to Dhritarashtra, to even Duryodhana, Karna, and all of them were present in Hastinapura, and Krishna had come as the Duta, as the messenger of the Pandavas, and he requested Duryodhana to just to give 5 villages to the 5 Pandavas. But Duryodhana was so stubborn and adamant that he refused to give away even Suchikagra, land even of the tip of a needle. So at that time, Krishna, he asked all the sages who were present, even the great sage Narada, Vedavyasa, Jamadagneya and Kanva, many of them tried to narrate various narrations and histories to convince Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana not to be so stubborn and to make peace with the Pandavas, especially because they were supported by the Supreme Lord Krishna. So all the sages repeatedly exhorted Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana and gave many instructions, especially to establish that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and there was absolutely no way that they would gain any benefit by going against him. So when Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana were still not convinced, and in fact Duryodhana hatched a conspiracy, a plan with Shakuni, Karna and Dushasana. These 4 of them planned to bind Keshava, Krishna, and in that way break the morale of the Pandavas. So when Duryodhana ordered his soldiers to go and capture Krishna, Krishna showed his mini Viratroopa, the Vishwaroopa, and even then Dhritarashtra, although Dhritarashtra was repeatedly telling Duryodhana not to go against Krishna, but still he was too attached to his son Duryodhana and could not control him. So therefore Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra, they made a complete misuse of their free will in spite of the direct presence and revelation by the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So that is their most unfortunate position of Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. The next question by Dr. Shastri, that Sanjaya is explaining the whole sequence of events with Divya Dristi. Does this mean that Sanjaya too could see Krishna's Vishwaroopa while sitting with Dhritarashtra at Hastinapura palace? Yes, definitely. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita itself at the conclusion in the final 18th chapter, text number 75. Sanjaya says that Vyasa prasadat shrutavan etad guhyamaham param yogam yogeshwarat krishnat sakshat kathayata swayam. Sanjaya tells Dhritarashtra that by the mercy of Vedavyasa, who made this arrangement of a divine vision was bestowed on Sanjaya by Vedavyasa, by which he could hear this most confidential knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. He further says that Tacha samsmritya rupam atyadbhutam harehe vismayo me mahan rajan hrishyami cha punah punaha. Sanjaya says that I am again and again remembering Tacha samsmritya rupam atyadbhutam harehe, the very very wonderful adbhuta Vishwaroopa of Janagdana, of Keshava, of Krishna, and hrishyami cha punah punaha. I am again and again, I'm wonderstruck and I'm exhilarated thinking about the wonderful vision of the Vishwaroopa. So Sanjaya also saw the Vishwaroopa, and this is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita itself in the 18th chapter, text number 75, as well as in text number 77. The next question by G.V. Radhaji. Every day has been very informative and enlightening. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you. My only question is how to continue with this devotional spirit in full mind always, even after these 18 days. So the answer is Bhagavad Gita should not be taken up as a part-time study or some armchair philosophy that we hear from one year, appreciate for a little while, and then forget everything about it. That should not be our attitude towards the study of the Bhagavad Gita. So whatever we hear, we should consciously try to apply the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita in our day-to-day life, and we should never stop the study of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that one who's in 18.70, Krishna says adhyeshyate chaya imam dharmyam sammadamavayoho jnana yagnena tenaham ishtasyamiti me matihi. The greatest, the highest worship of the Supreme Lord Krishna is not by mere worship with articles, but Krishna says when you study this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, you are actually worshipping me in a most exalted way. So therefore one should every day devote some time, at least 15 minutes or 30 minutes to 1 hour, and repeatedly relish the nectarian message of the Bhagavad Gita. One should practice the teachings given there. One should associate with the saintly people who follow the path of the Bhagavad Gita, get more guidance, and practice the devotional principles given in the Bhagavad Gita and in Srimad Bhagavatam, and in this way make the path of Bhagavad Gita our lifetime dedication. So the next question by Shri D.S. Srinathji. Pranam Guruji, the discourse was excellent. I have thank you very much. I have a few questions on this Vishwaroopa Darshan of Lord Krishna. It is mentioned that Vishwaroopa Darshana is the destruction of personalities involved in Mahabharata, which Lord Krishna is aware, but Arjuna and others are not aware. Is this the real meaning? So yes, it is revealed in the Bhagavad Gita in 11th chapter by Krishna in text number 33 and also in text number 34. Krishna says that tasmatvamuttishta yasho labhasva jitva shatrun bhungshva rajyam samriddham mayaivaite nihata purvameva maya eva, in my form as time, as kala, nihata purvameva, I have already finished them, vanquished all the warriors here. Nimittamatram bhavasavyasachin, you become the instrument and gain fame and victory. In further in text number 34, Krishna says dronam cha bhishmam cha jayadratham cha karnam tathanyan api yodha viran mayahatan, that I have already killed all these great warriors, Drona, Kripa, Bhishma, Karna, Mayahatam, Stvam Jahi, but you now become the instrument and kill all of them and gain victory and fame. So Krishna is definitely aware, and he's also making this aware, he's giving this awareness and predicting the outcome of the battle to Arjuna as well. Next, the four-handed Vishwaroopa Darshan of Lord Krishna is more sublime and peaceful. Can you please provide clarity on this? So it is explained in the 11th chapter in the Vishwaroopa Darshan of Krishna that Krishna revealed the universal form, and then he showed his Chaturbhuja Rupa, the four-handed Vasudeva Vishnu Rupa, and then again he showed his Saumya Rupa, that is his two-handed Shyama Sundara form. So definitely the four-handed Chaturbhuja Vasudeva Vishnu Rupa is more sublime because it is the eternal form, whereas eternal and divine spiritual form, whereas the Vishwaroopa is a temporary material form. So it is definitely the four-handed form is more sublime, more peaceful, and the most sublime, the most peaceful, the most rare and the original form of God is the Saumya Rupa, the two-handed form of Krishna, which Krishna explains in 11.52 as Sudurdarsham idam rupam, idam rupam. This two-handed form is Sudurdarsham, is the most rare of all the forms of the Supreme Lord, and Deva api asya rupasya nityam darshana kankshinaha. Even the Devatas are always anxious to have a glimpse of this original form of mine, because the form of Krishna as two-handed Shyama Sundara is the original form of God in the spiritual world, and the expansion of Chaturbhuja Vishnu Murti is like the boss in the material world, and all the Devatas sometimes have access to the four-handed form of Vishnu in the material world because he is the controller, the maintainer of the entire universe. But the form of Krishna is always beyond the material realm, always beyond the material universe, in the topmost spiritual kingdom, and the Devatas have absolutely no access to reach there, and therefore they are always anxious to see this original form of God from the spiritual world. The next question, can you kindly celebrate on the time aspect mentioned by the Lord and his message to humanity? So time, as I explained yesterday, is the most fearful and destructive aspect of the Supreme Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, there is discussion mainly of 5 topics. One is Jiva, the second is Kala, the third is Prakriti, and the fourth is Paramatma, or the Supreme Lord. Paramatma, and the fifth one is Karma. So Kala is one of the features of the Supreme Absolute Truth of the Supreme Lord Krishna, present only in the material world, in this samsara. In the Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 2, it is described that in the spiritual world, Nayatra Kalo Animisham Paraprabhu, Kala, which controls the Kala Chakra in this material world, controls all the living beings, including Animisha, all the Devatas as well. But in the spiritual world, it is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.2.17. Nayatra Kalo. In the spiritual world, in the eternal kingdom of God, there is no destructive feature of Kala or time. So therefore, Krishna invites all of us that the only way to become free from the clutches of this very, very powerful time factor is to surrender unto Him and go back to the spiritual world, where one is under the direct shelter of the Supreme Lord. In the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, in Viswaroopa Darshana, there are two very, very powerful things that this material world, this samsara, is completely under the control of. One is space and time. Space and time. Entirety of space was shown by Krishna in the Vishwaroopa, and the entirety of Kala or time was also shown as one of the features of God. So how more glorious is the Supreme Lord God, whose tiny features and energies are space and time. The next question by Shri Pradeep Doshiji. Namaste Guruji. Vishwaroopa is described in great detail as observed by Arjuna through divine eyes. Did Chaturbhuja form of Sri Krishna require divine eyes, even though he had it on, and why is that not described in detail? So actually the Chaturbhuja Rupa and the Saumya Rupa of Krishna are more important and divine and spiritual than the material temporary Vishwaroopa. But the common mass of people, the ordinary people in this material world, are more captivated by the grandeur of the Vishwaroopa, and therefore to give a glimpse of the Aishwarya, of the infinity of the Supreme Lord. The 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita focuses on this aspect of the Supreme Lord in order to convince the mass of people about the supremacy, about the glory of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So therefore the focus in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is more on the Vishwaroopa, although at the conclusion, at the end, it is also revealed that even higher and even more divine than this universal form is the Chaturbhuja Rupa and the Saumya Rupa of Krishna. Guruji, can you please describe Mahakaal with more clarity? How do we reconcile the two contradictory images of Mahakala, of ruthless killer and of kind caretaker of devotees? So yes, Mahakala is very, very destructive, but not for the devotees, as explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, text number 18. It says, Ayurharati vai pumsam udyan astam chayannasau tasyagte yat kshano nita uttama shloka vagtaya. That Kala, time, with every rising and setting of the sun, takes away the lifespan of all living entities except for one who is a pure devotee of the Lord. So the example is given by the Acharyas, a very beautiful example, that the same Kala is all devouring for everyone, but the same Mahakala becomes the most affectionate caretaker of the devotees. Just like a cat may hold the rat in its teeth. So the rat, when it is being carried, for the rat, in its perspective, the cat is death personified. Now in a similar situation, the cat may also carry its baby, the kitten. Now externally the situation is all the same jaws, the same cat is carrying, but for the kitten it is happily in the safe shelter and protection of its mother. So therefore we should transform from the rat to the kitten. We should surrender to the Supreme Lord and become His devotee, and then there is no need to be afraid or fearful of the time factor. And the final question is, Guruji, kindly clear one more confusion. Now that we have studied 3 different forms of the Supreme Lord, can we remember Him in any of the forms, or only of two-armed one only? Actually, you can meditate on any form of the Supreme Lord. Even the meditation on the universal form of the Lord is elaborately described in the Srimad Bhagavatam in Canto 2, Chapter 1. But this is only the preliminary way of approaching God. So as we advance and advance and advance and advance in the Bhagavad Gita, even after showing all His 3 forms, Krishna specifically says in 11.54 that bhaktya-tu ananyaya shakya aham evam vidho Arjuna. As I am present to you now in my two-handed form as Shyama Sundara, as Krishna, one can realize this form only with ananya bhakti or pure devotional service, whereas even meditation on the universal form is more or less a mechanical process, and one can still attain some level of success. But to realize the original form of God, it is possible only by pure bhakti, and therefore the final word in the realization of God is this original two-handed form of God. And therefore the final verse of the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, therefore what you should do, Krishna does not recommend or suggest that you should meditate on the universal form. He recommends that mat karma khin mat paramo mad bhaktaha sangavaijitaha nirvairaha sarva bhuteshu yasamameti pandava. One should meditate, one should render all devotional loving service unto the original form of God, His two-handed Krishna form, and in that way attain the highest perfection of life. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.